Hey guys, Ian here from the Gamers Gaiden. We're going to take a look at the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo that came out last Monday. I was super excited that they actually put out a demo for this. I know that both JC and myself were fortunate enough to get to play a demo that they had at Fan Expo in August, but it was very limited. You actually had to sign up for a time slot, and it was about 20 minutes of gameplay. So not a lot of people got to actually have a hands-on experience with that, especially if you were only there for a day. You wouldn't have known to sign up ahead of time necessarily, or that it would have been there unless someone gave you a heads up. So I thought it was really cool that they put this out. A neat little thing is this is more or less exactly the same as the original demo that they put out for Final Fantasy VII ages ago. And I thought I might go over a few things. A couple of differences between this demo and the one that I had played previously. And then just kind of my thoughts on how the gameplay is and the looks of the story in that. So one of the, I guess, the biggest things to talk about would be the differences between this demo and the one that I played at Fan Expo. To start, this is so much longer. This was probably just over an hour. Now, granted, I spent a lot of time kind of looking at stuff and seeing what I could interact with and what I couldn't, and just, looking through the various menus and all the other things that I didn't have access to in the other demo. Whereas the demo that we played at Fan Expo probably took us about 20 minutes the first time we went through. I know, we were bad people. We played it a couple of times. And every subsequent time, it took a little bit less. I think the last time I played through it probably took me about 15 minutes. Because you know what you're doing, you know what to expect, and you're just happy to get your hands back on the gameplay again. But the demo that I played took place from the elevator down to the main reactor core, all the way down to the guard scorpion or sentinel scorpion, the boss fight, essentially, and then ended there. Whereas this demo starts you off straight from the train. It shows you the full opening cinematic all the way down. Exactly like the original opening, which is so cool. And you go all the way down through the boss fight, and then it takes you to getting out of the reactor, and then it kind of gives you a little bit of a clip show as to things to come. And I'm pretty excited. if people can't tell, I'm very excited about this. Gameplay-wise, everything was identical from the demo that I played. Even the little tutorial things that they threw at you were exactly the same. The demo that I played in August didn't really let you look through the menus, whereas this one does. It doesn't really allow you to change any equipment. You don't find any equipment, so that's not a huge issue, but it is something to note that at least you get to look at that kind of stuff, whereas you didn't previously. So that was kind of cool. You do level up throughout the demo, but it doesn't really impact anything other than adjusting some stats. So it's basically the same as what you would expect from leveling up in a Final Fantasy game, or at least in Final Fantasy VII if you've played through this. And that kind of, well, there was something that they did change. They changed the sequence of getting down to the actual boss fight. There was about 3 floors that you went through to get down to the actual reactor, whereas in the demo that's out currently, you go down 2 ladders and then you're there. So they really shortened it up. They took out they took out all of the human enemies that were in the reactor core, and there's just one section that is identical, and then the rest is totally different. So I thought that was kind of neat. that the original demo that we played was made as just a demo. I mean, ultimately, the theory's out there that they just kind of mocked up a little like tech demo to show what the PS4 could do, and they're like, hey, look, it's Final Fantasy VII. It's something that everybody loves and remembers, and look at how pretty it looks on the new system. And then everyone was like, oh man, they're remaking it, and Square was like, yeah, that's what we're doing, which is why it has taken so long to actually happen, and even still, it's barely happening. But if you liked the combat in Final Fantasy 15, you'll like the combat in this. I really like the way that they have kind of commingled those systems, where you have the like live action combat, where you really feel like you can dictate the fight. And then you still have access to abilities and magic and items, and the way that's handled is just so seamless. It doesn't it doesn't totally pause the fight. Everything just slows down like so much. You can still see like little bit of movement in the character, but it slows it enough that you can go through the menus and find what it is that you want to do, target what you want to target, and execute that. So that's really nice. They've done a lot of things in this that I think is going to make it very playable for anybody who didn't have the opportunity to play Final Fantasy VII. Maybe some younger people, or people who maybe weren't into video games at the time, and now they are into video games, but the old sprite-based Final Fantasy VII with its like polygon sprites wasn't or isn't super pretty right now. It's not. I mean, for me, playing through it, because I did play through it fully last year, and I still loved it. The story is amazing. The game is fantastic, but playing through old games, there is that barrier of the visuals. And we all talk about it, and a lot of us say, oh, it doesn't matter, it's the gameplay and the story that really count. But at the end of the day, it can be kind of daunting to play through something that just doesn't look up to our standards at this point. Which, I mean, we have a very broad spectrum. We play tons of games nowadays, but the level of quality is just so much higher than they could have possibly imagined back in 97. So for us to go back and play that now, yeah, I can understand it being daunting. So having the opportunity to play this and not having to deal with the like turn-based combat system where it's a lot more action and a little bit more, go, and yeah, I think that's going to be really a great experience for people. What really bums me out, though, is that this isn't a complete game. This is going to take you, as far as we know, to the party leaving Midgar, which it's a perfect point to pause the story, but it's not the whole story, and that really makes me sad. I've already heard them say that Red 13 is not a playable character in this game, which also bums me out because he was my favorite character in the game. So to hear that my favorite character is not going to be an option to play really bums me out. But I'm still super excited to get back into this. I'm stoked to play through it. I really hope that that this section, even though in my experience from playing through it recently, now granted, I do know what I'm doing, so I didn't really mess around with too much, and even some of the optional stuff, I've done it so many times that it's kind of like, okay, I just go here and I do this, and I don't have to poke around looking for certain things or trying to figure things out. I know what I'm doing, so it took me less than 10 hours. So I'm really hoping that we get, at least 15, maybe 20 hours out of this one. But I am skeptical. I am going to pick it up day one. and I'm going to play through it within the first couple of days. And yeah, I'm probably going to tell you guys exactly what I think about it. If you haven't gone out and downloaded this demo yet and you have a PS4, do it. It's free. Costs you nothing. And I think it took me about maybe an hour and 20 minutes the first time I played through. Like I said, I was messing around with things. The next few times I played through, it took me less and less. So I think 45 minutes to an hour of your time to get a feel for the game. It does kick it off. It gives you the little bit of an intro that you get. You don't, you don't get a lot of the intricacies of the story, but you get a taste of it. So enough to kind of see if it's something you would enjoy. But anyways, thank you so much for listening to me, guys. I would love to know your thoughts on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you next time.